Ever stop to think about how just one single requirement, one class on an application could literally change the future for thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're looking at a massive, game-changing shift in Nigeria's education system, and it all comes down to one subject: math.
I mean, really think about that. Could one single test, a grade in something that has nothing to do with what you're passionate about, be the one thing standing between you and your dreams? For so many students, this wasn't just a what-if question. Nope, this was their everyday reality.
All right, so let's get right into it. A truly massive decision has just come down the pipeline, and it's one that's about to totally reshape the educational world for a whole generation of students in Nigeria. So the big day was October 14th, 2025. That's when the Nigerian government made this landmark announcement. It's a change that hits that big question we were just talking about head on. But to really get why this is such a huge deal, we've got to look at the problem they were trying to solve in the first place. I like to call it the math hurdle.
And here's the thing, this is the absolute core of the issue. It didn't matter one bit if you wanted to be a poet, a painter, a historian, you name it. Now look, the rule wasn't just pulled out of thin air. The thinking was, hey, math teaches logic, it teaches problem solving, right? Skills that are good for everybody. But what sounds good in theory didn't quite work out that way in the real world.
And just so we're all on the same page, when we're talking about this requirement, we're talking about results from exams like the WAEC or NICO. Just think of them as the big final high school exams. They're basically the key to getting into a university in that part of the world. And this just lays it all out, doesn't it? The central problem. You could be a genius with words, a brilliant philosopher, but if numbers just weren't your thing, well, that door to a university education, it was basically slammed shut. The very system that's supposed to nurture talent was, kind of by accident, weeding people out based on one skill that might have had nothing to do with their actual gifts. Okay, so what's the solution? What did the government actually do? Let's take a look at the new rule, because it completely changes the game. What I love about this is how simple and powerful it is. Look at this. On the left side, if you're an arts or humanities student, that math credit you had to have, poof, it's gone. But over on the right, for science and social science students, you still need it. See, it's not a blanket change, it's smart, it's targeted, and it just makes sense. And listen, this is way more than just some minor edit to the rules. The potential fallout from this one decision is, honestly, it's staggering. 300,000. That's how many more students might be able to get into a university or polytechnic. And get this, that's not a one-time deal. That's every single year. It's like opening the floodgates for a massive wave of new talent and potential. So what was the big idea behind this? Well, the education minister, Tunji Alausa, basically summed it up perfectly. He said it's all about aligning requirements with course needs. I mean, it's just common sense, right? It's moving away from this one-size-fits-all idea and admitting that what makes a great engineer isn't necessarily what makes a great artist. So, when we step back and look at the big picture, what does this all mean? This one change in one country actually makes you ask a much bigger question about what education is even for. So here are the big takeaways. First, this proves that one smart, targeted rule change can totally tear down a huge barrier that's been holding people back. Second, it really signals a shift in how we think about education, moving towards specialization. But honestly, the biggest thing is the real-world impact. We're talking about a life-changing chance for hundreds of thousands of students to finally go after what they truly love. And that really leaves us with this one big question to chew on. What's the right way to go? Should education be all about creating these specialized paths, like what Nigeria's doing here, tailoring things to a student's own unique talents? Or is there still a really important reason to have universal requirements that give everyone a shared foundation? There's no easy answer, and it's a question that educators all over the world are trying to figure out right now.